Here we go.
So what if the CEO is the good guy?
Dude, so what if the CEO is the good guy? And of course, look at who's even saying this message, bro. First off, let's look at this guy right here. Like, hey, dude, put on a fucking shirt. All right, homie? Right? Dude, yeah, dude, it's not even Jack Doherty. This guy is like Temu Jack Doherty, right? He's like a Jack Doherty emulator, isn't he? I don't think that's actually Jack Doherty, but he looks like him. Dude, he's Temu fucking Jack Doherty, bro. With the shitty hair and like he's got his gold chain on. Like, what are we even talking about? Dude, or maybe it is actually Jack Doherty. Maybe Jack Doherty is Temu Jack Doherty. I'm not exactly sure. It's hard to keep these idiots fucking together, but the CEO, newsflash for you. You ready? The CEO is not the good guy. No, the CEO is not the good guy. I'm not going to say Luigi's the good guy necessarily, but Luigi is, acting in good faith at least, because Luigi, even though I don't agree with necessarily vigilantism, because obviously under vigilantism, somebody could decide I'm the bad guy. And then they'd be waiting outside to John Lennon me. And I don't want to live in a world like that. But Luigi's acting in good faith because he's at least acknowledging that the CEO is a bad guy. And that's an important point because we're not acknowledging that these CEOs, these sociopathic people who just roll over tens of thousands of people and kill them or harm them, all for the expansion of their own greed. We don't acknowledge that those guys are bad guys.
What if the CEO is the good guy?
Fuck Donald Trump, he is such a scum. He shits on all the humans and he rapes every woman. Donald Trump stinks cause his shitty diaper flows. He's got a bunch of weirdos that pick out his shitty clothes. All right, dude, let's go. Dude, we're riffing, bro. Let's go. It was in the back. Yes, it was in the back. But, dude, all right, I like this guy. I can vibe to this. But again, the thing about obviously a world that is straight vigilantism would give anybody the opportunity to go around killing anybody else. And I don't want that. But I also believe that we need to get to a place of acknowledgement where we will acknowledge the horrors. I mean, I saw this thing about how Texas wants to outlaw all cannabis. And I'm going to use cannabis as an example here because the way we live in American society is this idea that the law is what makes everything okay. So you have something like alcohol that's legal and socially acceptable, but alcohol causes car wrecks. It is involved in domestic violence like there's no tomorrow. It is involved in all kinds of murder and assaults and degradation. It is involved in sex crimes. Not every person who drinks gets violent, but almost every incident of violence has alcohol connected to it. I mean, it is bad. It really destroys human beings. It makes them black out. It is so toxic, but it's legal. And so then it's good and fine, and we put up with all this nasty shit. Then you have something like cannabis that doesn't provoke violence. It doesn't cause sexual abuse. It doesn't cause, DV or any of this outright shit. People aren't fucking crashing into people at 120 miles an hour when they're smoking weed. None of that shit takes place. It actually has usefulness as a pain relief. And, for some people, an anxiety relief thing. But it's not legal. And we have so many behaviors in business that are legal that are kind of like alcohol, that kill people, that harm people, that are bad for humanity, that are destructive. But because they're legal, these wealthy sociopathic motherfuckers just get to stroll in and engage in that behavior over and over and over again. And that's a real problem, guys. That's a real problem. This is about capitalism. It's about, our financial system. It's about our political system, just in general. The big problem is that we sort all the psychopaths to the top. And the reason why I want to talk about this is I feel like this is something that we have been skirting around a lot, where we continually run up to this. When you have Luigi Mangione out there shooting that CEO, why was that CEO a successful CEO? Because he was ruthless and sociopathic. He moved into a healthcare company and decided to expand its wealth and power and success by just killing people. Stroke of a pen, denials. We're going to increase the amount of healthcare denials. We're going to let people who paid for our insurance die. And I am going to become brilliantly successful in this capitalist corporate society. And this is one of the hallmarks of capitalism. If you are a sociopath, if you are willing to go over anybody at all costs, if you are willing to, harm whomever it takes in order to achieve success, you have a much better chance of being financially successful in this capitalist system. Elon Musk is a fucking sociopath. A lot of these wealthier influencers that will just say the nastiest shit. They don't care who they fuck over. They don't care if their viewpoints are even bad for humanity. Sociopaths. Sociopaths get rewarded to the upper echelon. Somebody like Andrew Tate. You know what I'm saying? Underregulated capitalism has allowed a strain of raging psychopathy to take control of key sectors of life, including business and politics. At the root of this dynamic is that our system rewards people who don't care about others. That's it. The system rewards people who don't care about others. Being compassionate and loving and kind gets you nowhere. Being sort of ruthless and domineering and controversial and aggressive gets you everywhere in the system. And so our system rewards people who don't care about others because they have an array of options that people with empathy don't have. It's hard to be competitive when your competition is willing to do inhumane things that you would never be willing to do. So the people who are willing usually win. And that's what it really comes down to. Is you have everybody competing to rise up the ladder in capitalism, but the people that do the most inhumane shit have an advantage because most people aren't going to do the inhumane shit. And I've seen this in my life. It can be as simple as like backstabbing, or it can be as complicated as CEOs just ruining people's lives or killing them, outright killing them with their policies and not caring. It's that ruthlessness. Everybody's sort of vying for it. You have a community, but somebody who's willing to like stick a knife in the back of their best friend is going to have a much better chance at being successful. It sucks. It sucks to say that, but that's how the system is set up with the real culprit, which is fucking capitalism, baby. Man, it's rough. In this way, we sort all the high functioning sociopaths and psychopaths to the top of the pyramid. You know, I've talked about that capitalist pyramid, and reward them lavishly for it. And once they get there, those people want to surround themselves with others who have no interest in empathy either. So they replace anyone who won't behave like a sociopath with someone who will. That's how you get Robert Mercer, David Cook, Elon Musk, Peter Thiel, Donald Trump, the entire GOP cult. And so the craziness is you may have noticed that the recent crop of right-wing influencers trying to radicalize young men are very much about this philosophy. They're trying to turn young men into sociopathic drones in order to achieve success, saying all you have to do is forget about your emotional well-being, forget about having feelings. You gotta be ruthless. You gotta be a warrior. It's all bullshit. Now is the part it gets weird. Since the goal of these psychopaths is to make people behave in ways that are counter to their own interests so they can steal people's money for themselves, they have devised systems to turn normies into empathy-free zombies. This is what the modern red pill ethos is trying to do. The modern red pill movement is trying to take young men and to turn them into empathy-free warriors that will just shit on everyone to advance capitalism. Large swaths of our digital and media existence have been captured by psychopaths who intentionally created platforms and methodologies for brainwashing people into their own cruel worldviews. Look around. Social media and disinformation has converted a large percentage of our citizens into people who do not care about anyone but themselves and their cult leaders. The sinking feeling we have is driven in large part by people we know behaving in ways that seem sadistic and alien. We see cruelty, chaos, and hate, and it feels wrong. But some people are eating this shit up. Simultaneously, we have young people that are being fed into this world on TikTok and Twitter and Instagram and Twitch. They're being fed into it at the earliest ages via video gaming and shit like that, dude. And it's really shitty. If you look at teachers now, they're like, oh my God, Gen Alpha is like, they have no attention span. They have no empathy. They're cruel. They're like anti-women. They're already being fed on this Tate sociopathic power trip, starting in like the earliest grades, guys. It is up. At least a third of the country has joined or been influenced by a fascist death cult. Okay, that's the red pill, the right wing, the Trumpism. The world is, in fact, going crazy. You, dear reader, are not. We have given the keys to our future to psychopathic white men who have proven that they want nothing but our destruction so they can pick up the pieces for themselves. These are people like Trump and Musk and these wealthy motherfuckers, Peter Thiel, where everything to them is a game, dude. They hold all the chess pieces. Worse, those same people have not only sold their own souls, they're trying to sell us to our enemies. Vladimir Putin, a psychopathic sadist with KGB training, is the perfect ally in their project. They are not scared of Putin. They want him to ruin the world. They want World War III. They want the end times. Now, the scary thing about the end times is a whole bunch of brainwashed Christians. Regular people are totally okay with the end times. Guys, they are. They're like, they want it. They want Israel to start taking all the land in the Middle East. They want to bring this shit on, bro. The fact is that psychopathy, cruelty, and chaos is not what the vast majority of humanity wants. Most of us want to raise our kids in a world that cares about human beings, that cares about equality, that wants to move towards peace and not violence. The key thing we have to address is the control that psychopaths have over information people bathe in. Until we do that, we will continue to lose people to this indoctrination system. Rupert Murdoch, the Cooks, the Mercers, Thiel, Musk, Zuckerberg, etc. They are creating hundreds of millions more of themselves, except their clones are under control. These are the TikTok generation, guys. These men do not deserve our trust. They deserve nothing but prison. They have intentionally poisoned us. Think the tobacco industry, but 100 times larger to benefit us and our enemies. Fascism is fundamentally psychopathic. It is not ideological. It cannot be negotiated with. It must be defeated. Now, dude, this guy goes on these crazy rants, but he is not wrong. He is not wrong. Like, being a sociopath, not caring about what happens to other people is the greatest way to sort of negotiate your rise up the capitalist ladder. The thing that gets me is because of the way privilege is hard baked into our society, into American life, because the white men and the white men of the Christian faith have so much power in America, and it's been so hardwired into all the harm that American culture, dude, it's so hardwired in the harm that we have caused. This privilege that white people, and especially white men, are just allowed to make bad decision after bad decision after careless decision. They can elect the worst, most incompetent leaders over and over and over again, and they're always free of paying the price. Like, we simply don't pay the price. They can get mad at the system and they can be like, "Fuck it, I'm going to make a choice to just burn down the whole system." And they're allowed to do that because the system will burn and they will still be protected. And that's a problem. And it gets really bad when you get up to the level of like Musk and Trump and these guys that are vastly wealthy. They can make decisions that wreck the entire economy. And it doesn't matter. They're going to be protected. And they can do it out of spite. They can get mad, like Elon Musk got mad that his daughter was trans. He was just mad that she was trans, and he was mad at her mother for loving her while being trans. And so what does he do? He goes and buys a social network, spends $250 million to get Trump elected, and he is now going to take out his rage on all of our fucking systems. And there's going to be hundreds of millions of us in the world who are going to suffer all because of his anger about his trans daughter. That's the thing, though, that's bothersome, is Elon mad about his trans daughter, and he's allowed to wreck the entire goddamn country. And he has enough power to do it, man. I just wish we could get really in touch with our fucking privilege.